Hey everybody, Josh Searson of World Alternative Media here, and of course we are joined by Dan Dix of Press for Truth, and many of you have probably noticed that if you say anything, right of Mao Zedong or anything that isn't, supported by the establishment, you are probably getting flagged as hate speech or something of that realm on YouTube. Of course, videos are getting demonetized en masse. Everyone in independent media has seen this coming for a long time, and we've witnessed somewhat smaller attacks on our channels over the years. But as of 2017, we have witnessed a huge amount of demonetization, and independent medias are having a very hard time getting around this. And there is solutions, but first I'm going to go to Dan. Dan, can you go into some of your experiences with demonetization on YouTube?
Sure. It started happening to me a few years ago, really, where I noticed that a lot of my videos were not being monetized, but then the YouTube adpocalypse, as we called it, hit us and hit us hard, and all of a sudden it went from the odd video being demonetized to every single video automatically being demonetized. And what I am forced to do is to submit it for review. It goes through review. Sometimes it comes back as being monetized, but by then, the views have already reached their peak, and I don't generate any of that revenue anymore. So these are the kind of little tricks that they've been playing on content creators here to silence us and suppress our message.
Absolutely, and we have seen the Anti-Defamation League come in, most notably coming in and flagging everyone's content as hate speech. And I mean, this goes for even those YouTubers out there that just put up video game tutorials and stuff, them playing video games. They are getting demonetized as hate speech, and this isn't a copyright issue. This isn't even a swearing issue. Most of us don't really swear that much in our videos, so that's not really the problem here. It's that the message is, not what the establishment is trying to shove into the minds of the masses. And a great example is, you do a video on, for my personal experience, talking about pensions, and somehow that's hate speech, and it needs to be taken down. And what is hate speech? I mean, the line is so broad. There really isn't a line. Once you get into calling someone's speech hateful or criminal, then you just start to say anyone who has a different opinion than me is offending me, therefore it's hateful. And it goes to show that Google's new unofficial slogan has to be evil as much as humanly possible, and so they have been. But let's go into how important independent media is, because many of the things, of course, that independent media has been talking about for decades has been coming out, especially the last 2 years, vindicating us and making us not seem so crazy anymore. Of course, only 6% of people watch the mainstream media, and people used Facebook, YouTube, these social media sites, streaming video sites, as an escape from mainstream media, but they're quickly becoming under the grips of, the CIA through Google, the mainstream media trying to push their message through YouTube algorithms and Facebook algorithms. We've seen a massive push among Google especially, and it's sad to watch, especially considering people will always make it into a free market issue when Google is being subsidized, or has been subsidized, by over $6 billion over the years. That's not very free market, in my opinion. But Dan, can you go into all these, how important independent media is to have, especially in this age of complete disinformation by the mainstream media?
Well, one point we have to make is that what we've been seeing over the years here is a clear, direct attack on the free flow of information online. Now, we saw this, starting back as far as 2010, 2011, we started seeing the implementation of these acts like CISPA, PIPA, SOPA, ACTA. All these pieces of legislation that sought to restrict our ability to be able to share information, but every single time they were struck down, and people, fought back against these things, and they had to change their names and try to introduce it under some other piece of legislation and slip it in, but they've been ineffective every single time we've managed to block these. So it appears they're taking a new radical route for just going around this issue of not being able to silence us, and going at it at about the hitting us economically. Financial terrorism is what they're doing to us, and that's why it's proof that the independent media is having an effect, and they are afraid of our message to the point that they're not only trying to silence us online, they're trying to take away our ability to be able to fund ourselves from doing it more in the future.
Absolutely. We're not like the CBC in Canada getting billions of taxpayer dollars. We are independent media that actually care about the message and have incentive to tell the truth because we have a demand at our medias that we have to meet. And I find that every time these, massive companies try to, shove us under the bus, they only add to our fuel. They only fuel the fire. We saw that with the internet. The creation of the internet was in one way or another a way to control the masses, surveil the masses. We can go into Facebook and YouTube as well, but then they didn't account for the cultural side of things and people seeing different messages that they're not getting on television or in the newspaper and realizing, wait a second, why am I not hearing about this? What is so significant about this information, and why do so many independent medias have so many points that the mainstream media doesn't make? And I feel like, in a sense, what they're doing now with YouTube demonetization, the Anti-Defamation League, and all these groups trying to basically squelch our free speech and our ability to get information out, is it's all going to add up to them losing again in the end. Another example is that Google has been, obviously, like I mentioned, they've been demonetizing us like crazy, but they've also managed to bring a whole revolution forward of individuals, coming out of the woodwork, I guess you could say, and making independent media channels and bringing all this information that they never thought would be met, in the mainstream public. And moving on from that, I wanted to go into DTube because there are solutions. And Steemit.com was the alternative to Facebook. Steemit brought forward an ability for individuals to blog and make money on the blockchain via cryptocurrency Steem. So a lot of people are getting censored by Facebook, so they flooded to Steemit.com, and it's growing all the time. We're over 400,000 users, and it's due to skyrocket. It's still the ground floor. And then, of course, came DTube. So DTube is a decentralized YouTube alternative that's powered through Steemit. And what you can do with DTube is you can post videos that, YouTube is going to algorithm out of existence or demonetize entirely, and you can end up with as much as $100, $200 out of your videos. And at the very least, you make a few cents. So what's the point of, avoiding such a great new marvel? So, Dan, can you go into your experience with DTube?
Well, I've had a great experience with it so far. I've actually supplemented my income from YouTube, and that's the beautiful thing about this is you touched on the opening up of the free market into a truly free market. And what I'm excited about in the wake of the YouTube adpocalypse is the fact that we have BitChute, VidMe, DTube, all these other applications popping up. And this is just an incredible thing. It's a beautiful thing to witness and to be a part of. With DTube, as I said, it's been like a miracle lifesaver, being able to provide more of an income than I was getting from YouTube ad revenues, getting from the DTube community, the decentralized community who understand the importance of decentralization. So I'm really excited about the future of how blockchain technology is being brought into an area that's benefiting independent media and YouTubers and content creators in general. It's an incredibly exciting time to be involved with blockchain technology in regards to independent media.
It's life-saving. I mean, it's truly free market, individuals voting with their dollar, and it's all about demand, individual demand. It's not about what YouTube deems safe or unsafe. And it says a lot about what Google really stands for when you see, this massive control of information. Google has a monopoly on information online, and when they can change what we see or hear, then they are really controlling the information flow of and the culture of the public, the psychology of the public. They can push us without having to, rig an entire election. They can just put images into people's mind until they believe whatever the establishment tells them to do out of emotion rather than logic, out of the inability to see true fluctuation or diversity of thought or beliefs or opinions. So it's so important to look at DTube and Steemit when you have something right in front of you that you can get in on the ground floor of. I'm not making money telling you this right now. I simply want people to join us there because it's truly a beautiful thing for the free market, for those that are in independent media trying to get a message out. I know not that long ago, Adam Kokesh, who had hundreds of thousands of people subscribe to him on YouTube, decided to say farewell to YouTube, and now he's basically only posting on DTube, which is a huge move for someone with hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and I expect a lot more people to do the same. Obviously, you can't speak into an echo chamber, so there is a need to continuously post on YouTube. It's basically to get the people that aren't already aware of our message, because obviously that's the whole point in independent media, not preaching to the choir, but bringing information to the public that the public isn't aware of. But I think that DTube is the future. I think people of vast, diverse backgrounds and different schools of thought will come to DTube, and I think that getting on the ground floor is an amazing thing when you can post a video and see your video on the main page just with a few cents coming up to the top trending list and, introducing it to countless thousands of people who, aren't aware of your stuff and aren't aware of your work and want to somehow provide something for you, some kind of benefit by upvoting you and possibly making you a few dollars. So I just have to ask, what are you waiting for? It's a great time to get involved in DTube. It's a community that's on the rise, and hopefully in 1 year from now we can talk and say, hey, look, DTube is quickly taking over the mainstream viewership on YouTube because YouTube keeps shooting itself in the foot and shoving people away. Well, go ahead, YouTube. Make my day. Continue to try and manipulate our work and try to demonetize and censor us, because the more you do it, the more people will flood to other platforms that are truly decentralized, free market, and actually believe in the freedom and diversity of thought. So wrapping it up, I have to thank you for joining me once again here at WAM, Dan, and we'll be back at you with much more. There's a bright future ahead, and we just have to look forward to true free market demand and individual freedom rather than these massive control complexes that muzzle you at any possible ability that they have as individuals or as massive corporations that are subsidized by the government. They will do anything they can to squelch your free speech, and you have to fight back against that, or else you lay apathetic and you basically beget the end of truly free information. So thanks again, Dan, and until next time, this is Josh Sigurdsson and Dan Dix signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. Thanks for watching, everyone. Check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so vastly demonetized by the Anti-Defamation League on YouTube as they flag all of our content as hate speech. You can also find our Bitcoin address in the description in the comments, as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. You can also find me at Josh Sigurdsson at Steemit.com. That's Steemit.com, the future of social media, as the dinosaur social media digs its own grave. You get paid in cryptocurrency, Steem that is, on Steemit.com via the upvote of your posts, so I hope to see you there. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdsson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.